exotic vacations, yacht parties, loads of beautiful women, big guns, private jets, exotic cars, mansions, and pretty much anything you can imagine fall under the lifestyle of Dan Bilzerian. But what if I told you it was all a lie, and the so-called king of Instagram isn't who he really says he is? So get ready, because in this video we are going to expose the lies and deception of his life and his company Ignite brands. And be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if at any point you are enjoying this video, and definitely comment down below your guess as to how many times Dan Bilzerian fornicates in a week, which I'll be revealing at some point later on in the video. Bilzerian's company Ignite was launched in 2017 by none other than Dan Bilzerian himself, who currently serves as CEO, founder, and chairman. This guy must really have a big horn. His company sells everything from e-cigarettes, CBD products, drinks, apparel, THC products, and of course, we can't forget about his private VIP company parties, which somehow fit under the Ignite brand. On Instagram, Ignite has amassed a following of 3.1 million people since its debut back in March of 2018. Combining this with Dan's personal following of 32.5 million, Ignite has all the marketing tools it needs at its disposal at no extra expense. The perfect business model to sell cheap, low-quality vapes online with no overhead costs, and leave it at that. But no, like everything else in Mr. Bilzerian's life, Dan wants more. On February 28, 2019, Ignite became publicly traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange at $1.72 Canadian after a reverse merger with ALQ Gold. About 7 months later, on September 19th, shares of Ignite were uplisted from the gray sheets to over-the-counter markets under the ticker symbol BILZF, which made it easier for the majority of his following located in America to invest in his company. Shortly after Dan posted this information to his social media, shares rocketed over 260% for the week and hit an intraday high of $4, up from around $1 or so. The stock has since deteriorated over 85% from $1.85 to a mere 26 cents, which isn't even enough for a gumball anymore. The reasons for this become increasingly more obvious as you dive deeper into the company, their flamboyant parties, the way that they spend money like someone who's just discovered crack, and not focusing on where this company is going to be in the future. In 2019, the company posted a colossal loss of $67.3 million Canadian, 7 times more than the $9.6 million they brought in on revenue. This is more than the entire company is worth at $64.9 million. Yes, in 12 months, Ignite lost more money than the entire company is worth. What's interesting though is that in 2019, Ignite raised money both from debt and issuing new stock. As per its annual filing, Ignite recorded $25 million from proceeds of issuance of shares, $19.9 million from convertible debt, and $23.7 million from a short-term promissory note, for a total of $68.6 million in total. I'm no mathematician, but I don't think there's a coincidence that the company raised $68.6 million and lost $67.3 million the same year. Those numbers are awfully close. It couldn't be though. Dan using company money to fund his extravagant Bruce Wayne Hugh Hefner fantasy? Some of you brainwashed superfans might be saying, well, tons of successful companies lose a lot of money. Wait, no. That's what Dan said after Ignite reported their horrendous second quarter earnings this year. Uber is worth $80 billion. It has never had a profitable month since it started, and it lost over $5 billion in one quarter last year. That may be true, but Uber hasn't fired an executive for not curbing their CEO's bills. Oh, Bloomberg with the stinger. Curtis Hefferman, a former president of Dan Bilzerian's Ignite International brand, sued the company claiming he was fired in June after refusing to approve his boss's extravagant expenditures. Hefferman, a former Procter & Gamble executive, claims he called Bilzerian on expenses that included a $15,000 for a ping pong table, $40,000 for rock climbing, and a whopping 130 bands on a Bohemian photo shoot. $130,000 on a photo shoot? In other words, 4 Tesla Model S's to get your picture taken shirtless on a beach with a bunch of 18-year-olds you paid? Hefferman also claims in the lawsuit that Ignite asked him to mischaracterize a loan from the government's Ronapalooza aid program as income. We need to introduce Dan to Trevor Milton. You know how much invisible money the two of them could make together? A June report by the company's auditors flagged expenses that were unusually large or appear to be personal in nature, including an Ignite payment of 50% of $793,000 for a yacht rental, $128,000 for a 2-night stay in London, and Instacart deliveries of razors, trash bags, and laundry detergent, according to the lawsuit. $128,000 for a 2-night stay in London? Oh, no, but it's for Ignite. It's for the marketing. It's for the branding. As far as this year goes in 2020, Ignite reported first quarter revenues of $1.69 million and a staggering $9.9 million loss. This left them with $5.9 million cash at the end of Q1, down from the $15.1 million they had to begin the year. In regards to their second quarter financial results, Ignite announced on July 16th that it will postpone filing its interim financial statements and related documents for the financial period ended June 30th, 2020 due to logistics and delays caused by the unprecedented Ronapalooza. Ignite currently expects to file the Q2 filings no later than September 15th, 2020. 2 months late because of Ronapalooza? Can somebody please explain to me how, in what way, shape, or form that affects this company putting their financial statements out on time? Every other company seemed to figure it out. There were only two plausible explanations as to why this company would not release those financials on time. The first one being they didn't have enough money or were too lazy to get an auditor to sign off on it, or the auditor wouldn't sign off on it because they were lying. Second, the most realistic scenario is Dan was withholding this information so that he could plan his escape. It wasn't until October 16th that they released their second quarter reports, 31 days after the September deadline and 95 days after the initial July 16th deadline. And in these second quarter earnings, they reported a loss of $15.7 million on revenues of only $4.8 million. Funny enough, their cash levels only dropped to $5.8 million, down from $5.9 million in the prior quarter, a mere decrease of 2.5%. Someone explain to me how in the hell you can lose $15 million and only lose $100 million of cash off of your balance sheet. The answer we are looking for is in fact fraud. So to recap this company's performance in 2020, they began the year with $15.1 million in cash. They lost $9.9 million in Q1 to leave them at $5.9 million in cash. They then went on to lose $15.7 million the following quarter in Q2, which left them with $5.8 million in cash, all while stalling the release of these records a whole 3 months. I'm telling you, not even the guys at Entertainment 720 could lose this amount of money this fast, but I guess that's what happened when you use company money to have all your little friends over and pay an ex-stripper to perform at your house. The funny thing is this data only accounts for the first 6 months of the year. When you consider the fact that we're deep into October, this leaves July, August, September, and most of October completely unaccounted for, and it becomes clearer and clearer that Ignite has booked themselves a one-way ticket to bankruptcy. To pile on more bad news on top of this, as if things couldn't be bad enough, Namaste Technologies, a Canadian ancillary company, announces termination of agreement with Ignite. Analyzing all of this information in conjunction with his scummy father's past track record, who was ordered to pay $62 million for securities fraud and only ended up paying $3.7 million?
It was like a $62 million judgment against him, something like that. He definitely paid some. There was a settlement for sure.
It's pretty obvious Dan is doing a phenomenal job of filling his old man shoes of being a con man and fraudster. Dad would be so proud. Everything all starts to make sense. He even got his Armenian citizenship back in 2018 with his dad proudly standing behind him. More recently, his family even donated $250,000 to Armenian ARCSA. Who would have thought the alleged honorably discharged Navy SEAL, who in fact never actually became a Navy SEAL, would be getting his citizenship to another country, donating to that country after his pile of company cash runs out. Since the former king of Instagram will face major criminal charges if he decides to stay in the United States, my guess is that he's already in Armenia right now as he exits his rented LA mansion in July. Yeah, $200,000 a month for rent, straight from Ignite shareholders and creditors, right to Dan's landlord. One thing I am confident in though is that Dan Bilzerian's name will go down in the history books with the likes of Bernie Madoff, his dad, Paul Bilzerian, Trevor Milton, and Billy McFarland as some of the greatest scams and fraudsters to ever roam this earth. And to cap things off, we can expect a banger episode of American Greed, the rise and fall of Mr. Dan Bilzerian. That is all I have for this video. Thank you so much if you still made it to this point. If you haven't already, click that like button down below. It really helps support the channel, and subscribe if you're new. Peace.
I don't know. I would say on average, like at least 2 times a day. Yeah, so probably minimum 14.